wire. Remember, Draymond Green is back in this one, but he came off the bench for the first time in the Steve Kerr era in the playoffs. So when he comes into the game, this is what immediately. First, we have this. We should have known this was going to be a game from De'Aaron Fox. So they bring in Draymond, need a little more defense on him. And first things first, he gets a technical.
Like 1 minute in.
How did he get a technical?
1 minute in.
What?
This exchange.
I like De'Aaron Fox.
Don't read their lips.
He didn't back
Do
down.
not read their lips.
No, but it's not about backing down in that moment. Like, the tougher man is the person that can walk away, not the person that doesn't back down.
Okay, Richard.
I'm just
Deep
saying,
analysis.
if you
right
keep
there.
getting technicals, bro, like
I know those points accumulate.
every one of these guys are going to keep chirping at you. You want to win a championship? That's how he got suspended in 2016. It was the accumulation of it.
I know that he got lost here, Chiney, but can we just take a minute for Davion Mitchell's defense? I know,
Yes.
kid. We've all felt that watching.
But watch this follow through right here. On one leg.
What is the dance?
Not the stanky leg.
It's the.
That's just the clay.
That's just the clay.
That's
Some kind
He's
of
like, hold my
Super
follow
Mario
through.
Brothers thing that he was in.
I don't know what.
And then things got spicy in the fourth quarter. Steph Curry, I was complimenting Davion's defense. Sometimes there's nothing that you can do.
Absolutely nothing you can do. Did a great job there. And here, this was the Warriors.
Look at the quick
team.
pump fake. Like, what?
24
He was
feet.
trying to get his foot behind the line, but it
Didn't quite get it, but still a clutch bucket.
Wouldn't
And
think
then
that point
here-
matters.
Dun, dun,
Except-
dun. Plot twist.
So this is just as Doris Burke is complimenting the fact that this is an experienced team when Steph calls a timeout that they didn't have. Of course, that means it's a technical foul. They make the technical free throw, and they retain possession here, Chiney.
And then, clutch player
Of the
clutch
year,
finish.
De'Aaron Fox. You cannot rely on that man missing shots to win a game.
Well, this is the biggest mistake to me right here in the game. Coach of the year, you got to get 2 shots off. You have 1 timeout left, 10 seconds. You got to have De'Aaron go fast. If you miss it, foul, get another shot at it because you can call a timeout and advance the ball. 1 shot is not what you should have gotten.
Warriors get the win. Let's take a listen to after the game.
He hadn't come off the bench in 10 years since before I was coaching. But he came to me after immediately after game 3. He drove back to the arena. I was in my office, and he walked in, and he said, "What do you think about me coming off the bench?"
We were just talking about it, and he was asking me, like, yo, what are your thoughts? Like, this is why we wouldn't do it, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, this is why we should do it, X, Y, and Z. And, one of his words was like, but how are you going to feel coming off the bench? You have not come off the bench in 9 years in the playoffs. How are you going to feel? Who fucking cares? Like, who cares how I feel? If I must answer the question for you, I'm fine. I'll be ready to go when it's time for me to go in, but it doesn't matter how I feel. I think the right thing to do would be to start the game the exact way we started game 3.
All right, let's break down this, Chiney, because 132 playoff games. It's the first time in 132 playoff games that Draymond Green has come off of the bench. And he said he never wants to be that player who feels entitled to anything, entitled to starting. So how did you still see his impact?
Next level maturity right there. Let's dive into what Draymond is actually talking about, because Draymond coming off of the bench, he actually helped the Warriors with the floor spacing, and consequentially, their assist numbers went up. They went back up to 31 or so a game when they're in their homestand in the playoffs. And now Draymond is back with his confidence, his team playing well, the offense churning. He's back to bringing balance on defense. As the closest defender, he held the Kings to 43% shooting percentage in the restricted area, which is 4th best in the playoffs. And that's not easy because the Warriors, they switch a lot of screens, which means he's probably back 1 step and he's still getting it done. And I'll show you exactly how that happens. This is a pick and roll. His job is to hedge. Look at Sabonis. He has a line drive to the rim. This should be an automatic, at least dunk, right? Instead, there's nice help defense. He's there to contest the shot, and Wiggins rebound. Big factor. Another help defender on the perimeter that helps Draymond out. Again, watch this. This is a 2-on-1. You've got one player here. You've got Sabonis that can clean it up. Watch how active he is. Goes up, contests the shot, out of the play, almost out of bounds.
Right.
Sabonis is there, block it, and then you know what he did after.
And time and score in that one.
He flexed. Time and score 100%. And all of this set the scene for his game-saving defense because Draymond guarded De'Aaron Fox in the second half and held him to 2 of 7 shooting.
Yep.
This was key late. Let's look at it. Thank you, Director Kathy, baby. All right, second half, he started guarding him. Watch this right here. Nice little attachment. Contest, force a lot of contested 2s, and those are shots he normally makes, but when you switch defenders, that's a nice adjustment. Look at the time and score. Final play of the game. Steph doing his thing. He knows help defense is coming. This is where you make a calculated decision. 51% on twos, 25% on threes. Draymond stays active on the ball. Steph has his back. That is Warriors championship level defense.
Yep.
They didn't even need to talk.
Right.
They just were active. They were there. They knew each other like bros. They're hugging. That's what won them the game.
Yeah.
It was them getting their offense back because of his unselfish nature coming off the bench,
Right.
and then getting their defense back because he knows exactly what to do, and he's willing to take any assignment, including the most clutch player this year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why Steve Kerr said when I spoke to him at halftime, he's like, you know what, we're going to make an adjustment here because yes, we don't like having two non-shooters on the floor in Kevon Looney and Draymond Green at the same time, but we're going to take a little bit of a risk here because we need Draymond's defense here on De'Aaron Fox. And then we saw Harrison Barnes say, you know, if I can come back from his poor shooting in 2016, then I can do anything. But now we're flipping the page. We're going back to Sacramento, Ramona. Yeah. You were at that game in Golden State as well. So should we expect Draymond to come off of the bench? How did we get here?
So we got here because Draymond watched Game 3 from home. And that game was not close, right? So he gets in his car before the game's even over. And he's watching it like he's watching game tape. And he's like, I see what's working. And I see Kevon Looney having an amazing game. 20 rebounds in that game, 9 assists. And they played better with just one big on the floor, and Jordan Poole played great. We need to have just one big, and if someone's going to sit, it should be me. And when I spoke to him after the game, he said, you know, when I became a starter, David Lee lost his starting spot. And David Lee was an all-star back when Draymond took his spot. And he didn't lose his spot because Steve Kerr made a decision. It was because David Lee got hurt in training camp, and Draymond just played great. And the Warriors, as we know them, were created during that stretch. And then David Lee came back, and Steve Kerr said, no, we're going to stay with what it is. And Dre said that was one of the most validating things that could ever happen to me because I believed I should be out there. And David Lee put his arm around him and supported him. This is a veteran all-star who just lost his starting spot, put his arm around him and said, here's what you need to do. Draymond said...
That doesn't sound like David Lee. That doesn't sound like David Lee.
Well, he said, this is how the world comes back around. Like, if that's how I got my job, I got to do the right thing here. Kevon Looney just had a career game.
Yes,
he was
right.
there when Draymond couldn't be there, and he should not be sitting that game. And so I think that I don't know if we see him come off the bench in this next game, but you know that Kevon Looney's been playing great, and Jordan Poole is going to be a starter for that team one day. It's just a question of when and who goes to the bench when he does. And so Draymond raising his hand after the suspension to do that, I thought was a big move for the Warriors, and it's something that they can do at any time now going forward.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Draymond, like, you love everything that he brings to the table, but it's just like you just want. There's a level of maturity. Even there when he got that block and he screamed, he screamed at Sabonis. You love the fact, but we already seen Claxton get kicked out of a game for 2 taunting technicals. One for dunking on Embiid and staring at him. Another one for dunking on Embiid and walking over top of him. Draymond, when you block that shot, if you're screaming at him, that's taunting. Then you've already have 1 technical. Now you're thrown out of the game again. They are within their rights to give you another technical. Now you're a Hall of Famer. You're all of this, so they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But ultimately, you were close to getting another technical for screaming and yelling at him after the block. Yeah. I don't want that from him, and that's the maturity part that we have to see. Because if the Warriors do advance, the technicals are going with Draymond there. That's the biggest issue.
Well, and it's such a fine line for Draymond, right? Because it's what makes them great. That bravado, it's what pushes them forward. Because when Steph goes and makes threes, Clay goes and makes threes, it all shows up in the box score. But Draymond, in a sense, has to manufacture that. It's the energy, it's the defense, it's all of that. But at the end of the day, what matters is the wins and the losses. And now, Perk, we're all tied up in this series, baby. And you picked the Kings to win the series. Are you standing on that prediction, my friend?
I am standing on that prediction because the Kings have home court. I believe it's going to be hard for any team, especially the Warriors, to beat them on their home court. And De'Aaron Fox is just that superior when it comes down to taking over games. I believe that the others will step up, and I believe that Mike Brown will make adjustments. He will make adjustments. He have yet to really make adjustments in this series, but I believe he will. I think that 1-point loss in Golden State last night was actually encouraging for the Kings. To get smacked the way that they did in Game 3 and come back and respond that they did the way that they did in Game 4 was awesome. But can I say this about Draymond real quick?
Okay.
Let me appreciate this brother, because what he said in his post-game interview and what he said on his podcast is the true definition of losing yourself in the team. When you talk about coming back to the squad and giving yourself up and saying that, hey, I'm willing to come off the bench because it's better for the team. It's better for us overall because you know the goal that y'all are trying to reach is bigger than one individual. And if you reach that goal, everybody is going to get what they deserve anyway. Number two, when Draymond spoke on the entitlement part, this is a message to all the basketball players out there in the world, not just in the league, but AAU and to their parents and to kids in high school. I keep telling people, it's not who starts, but it's who finishes the game.
Yep.
And in the crunch time when it matters the most, guess who was in the game at the elbow clogging up that lane for as De'Aaron Fox driving? It was Draymond. So I just thought it was a great thing for him to go out there and enlighten the people on how he took that lesser role and sacrifice. And also, he is very smart because he didn't hurt his bag. He helped his bag. And later down the line on in his career, guess what's going to happen? You could see him playing it out just like Udonis Haslem, an extension of the coach from 5 years from now, writing his own way out.
The series is all tied up. Now it shifts back to Sacramento. Keegan Murray was unlocked in that game. We didn't even talk about that. This is going to be so much fun. All right, coming up, though, on this show today, can the Grizzlies even the series back up?